My name is Morgan Hale. Every morning for 40 years, before the sun finished climbing over the rooftops, I buttoned up a faded grey uniform, poured yesterday's coffee into a cracked thermos, and stepped onto the same city bus. The driver knew my face, but not my name. The passengers never looked at me long enough to remember either. I didn't blame them. At Redwood University, I scrubbed floors that reflected ceilings worth more than my yearly paycheck. I emptied trash cans overflowing with ambition, discarded essays, broken laptops, coffee cups from cafes where a single drink cost more than my lunch for the day. Students hurried past me with headphones in, eyes forward, already imagining the lives they believed were waiting for them. To them, I wasn't a man, I was background, and that was fine. I had learned long ago that peace often comes to those who don't demand attention. There's a strange freedom in being underestimated. People reveal themselves when they think you don't matter. My son, Lucas, was one of those people. He was 34 when this story truly began, though the truth is it had been building for years. Lucas lived in a high-rise apartment in the city with his wife, Marina. Glass walls, polished countertops, neighbors who never spoke but always listened. He worked in sales, wore sharp suits, and smiled the kind of smile that disappeared the moment he thought no one important was watching. Whenever he visited me, he brought impatience with him like a second coat. He hated my small house, hated the way the furniture didn't match, hated the bus schedule taped to my fridge. Most of all, he hated my job. Dad, he'd say, glancing around as if someone might overhear, "You ever think about retiring?" I was 68. My knees ached. My hands stayed rough no matter how much lotion I used. "Work keeps me steady," I'd reply. What I didn't say was that work kept me honest. It reminded me where I came from and who I was. Lucas didn't see it that way. When his co-workers asked about his family, he told me later. He kept it vague. Maintenance, he called my career, not janitor, not custodian. Maintenance sounded less embarrassing. The first time I heard that, something inside me tightened. The second time, it hurt. By the third time, I stopped reacting at all. I had raised Lucas alone after his mother, Eleanor, died of cancer when he was 12. I remembered the way he clutched my jacket at the hospital, shaking, asking me what we were supposed to do now. I remembered promising him that no matter what, we'd be okay. And we were. Not rich, not comfortable, but fed, clothed, loved. I worked double shifts, took overtime whenever it was offered. I missed sleep, not birthdays. I paid for his college tuition one check at a time, watching my savings shrink, but my pride grow. I believed, foolishly, maybe, that a child who saw sacrifice would grow into gratitude. I believed respect was taught by example. I was wrong. In my garage sat the one thing Lucas could never understand. A 1960 for Corvette, split window, midnight blue. The chrome still caught the light the way it did decades ago. I kept it covered, protected from dust and time, like a shrine disguised as a machine. To Lucas, it was an eyesore. To me, it was Eleanor. I met her at a car show in the late 70s. She laughed when I told her I'd buy her one someday, like it was the sweetest lie she'd ever heard. We saved for years, skipped dinners out, wore clothes until they thinned, lived smaller so we could dream bigger. When I finally surprised her with that Corvette, she cried so hard she couldn't speak. We drove everywhere in it, Sunday mornings with the windows down. Long, quiet roads where she sang off key and laughed at herself. Lucas learned to hold a wrench in that garage, standing on a crate so he could reach the hood. When Eleanor was dying, she made me promise something. "Don't let anyone take the car," she whispered. "When you drive it, I'll still be there." I promised. I meant it. Lucas knew the story. He'd heard it a dozen times. It didn't move him. To him, the car was wasted money, an anchor holding me back from doing something useful. He never said that directly, not at first. But I saw it in the way his eyes lingered on it with irritation instead of curiosity, in the way he sighed when I talked about it. That irritation would soon turn into something else, something sharper, something that would show me, beyond doubt, who my son had become, and what he believed his father was worth. And when that moment came, it wouldn't start with anger. It would start with a phone call. The phone rang on a Tuesday night, just as I was rinsing my coffee mug and getting ready to sit down with the evening news. I almost didn't answer. Most calls after 8 were wrong numbers or automated voices pretending to care about my car's extended warranty. But when I saw Lucas on the screen, I felt that familiar tug, the one that never quite goes away, no matter how old your child gets. "Dad," he said, and I knew immediately something was wrong. His voice wasn't sharp this time. It was strained, tight around the edges. "What's going on?" I asked. He hesitated. I could hear someone crying in the background, soft, broken sobs that told me more than his words ever could. "It's Marina's parents," he finally said. "They're in serious trouble. Her father, Javier, and a small contracting business. I'd always liked him. Quiet, hardworking, the kind of man who shook your hand once and meant it." Lucas explained how the past year had crushed them. Clients defaulted, costs skyrocketed, the bank was circling. "They're going to lose their house," Lucas said, "everything. Unless we come up with $80,000 fast." I sat down slowly. "That's terrible," I said, and I meant it. "I'm sorry. What can I do?" There it was, the pause, the kind that stretches just long enough to warn you something is coming. "Well," Lucas said carefully, "there is one thing." My chest tightened. The car. For a moment, I honestly thought he was joking. "Come on, Dad," he continued, warming to the idea. "It just sits there. You barely drive it. Classic cars are worth a fortune now. That thing could save a family." I told him no, not harshly, not angrily, just no. I reminded him of his mother, of the promise, of what that car meant to me. His tone shifted. "Mom's been gone for years," he snapped. "She doesn't care anymore. This is about real people, living people." I felt something inside me go cold. "I need time to think," I said quietly. "You don't have time," he replied. "They have 30 days. After that, it's over." Then he hung up. 3 days later, Lucas showed up at my house unannounced. He didn't knock. He walked straight into the garage like it belonged to him. His eyes locked onto the Corvette, and the look on his face wasn't love or nostalgia. It was calculation. "You're polishing it," he scoffed, "while a family is about to lose everything." I tried to stay calm. I told him again, slowly, clearly, that the car was not for sale. That's when he exploded. He called me selfish, said I was clinging to junk because I had nothing else. Said cleaning buildings for a living had made me small-minded. He told me I was choosing metal over people. Then he leaned closer and said the words I'll never forget. "Sell the car, or don't expect to see me again." The silence afterward was heavy, pressing down on my chest. I didn't answer him. I didn't need to. The next morning, I left town for a funeral. An old friend who'd once helped me bury my wife. I thought the distance might cool Lucas down, give him time to remember who he was. I was wrong. When I came back 3 days later, the garage door was half open, and the space where my promise had lived for decades was empty. I knew something was wrong the moment I pulled into the driveway. The garage door wasn't fully closed, just a few inches open, like a bad habit or a careless mistake. I told myself it was nothing as I stepped out of the car, but my hands were already shaking. When I lifted the door, the sound echoed in a way it never had before. The garage was empty, not just empty of the Corvette, empty of everything. The tools I'd collected over decades, the old rags I used for polishing, the framed photo of Elena sitting on the hood, laughing, sunlight caught in her hair. Gone. I stood there longer than I should have, staring at the oil stain on the concrete where the car used to rest. It felt like someone had reached into my chest and pulled something out without asking. Then I saw it, a folded piece of paper on the floor, a bill of sale. Lucas had sold the car for $47,000. I didn't scream. I didn't throw anything. I just sank onto a stool and let the reality settle. He hadn't just ignored me. He'd planned this. Waited until I was gone. Used the spare key he never returned. When I called him, he answered like nothing had happened. "It's done," he said. "Money's already transferred. Marina's parents are safe now. You should be proud." "You had no right," I whispered. "You left me no choice," he replied. "It was just scrap metal. Dad, get over it." That was the moment I stopped pretending my son would ever understand me. That night, I didn't go to the garage again. I sat at my kitchen table in the dark, staring at my laptop. My reflection in the screen looked older than I remembered. For years, I'd lived small on purpose, quiet, unassuming. I wanted to see who loved me when there was nothing to gain. I wanted to believe my son's respect didn't depend on money. I opened a secure folder, then another, then my digital wallet. Numbers filled the screen. Numbers I hadn't looked at in a long time. 42,000 Bitcoin, purchased early. Forgotten by everyone but me. Worth more than Lucas could imagine. The first thing I did wasn't revenge. It was mercy. I sent $80,000, anonymously, to Javier's account. No note, no name, just enough to erase the debt completely. Only then did I lean back in my chair and understand something with perfect clarity. Lucas thought I was powerless, and because of that, he'd shown me exactly who he was. Lucas called the next morning, his voice lighter than it had been in weeks. "Dad, you won't believe this," he said. "Someone paid off Marina's parents' debts. All of it, 80,000. Just like that." I held the phone loosely, staring at the spot in the garage where the Corvette once stood. "That's good," I said. "They must be relieved. It's a miracle." He laughed. "I mean, selling the car helped. But this saved everything." Selling the car helped. I asked him to come over that evening. When he arrived, he looked tired but satisfied, like a man who believed the worst was behind him. I didn't offer coffee. I didn't sit across from him like I usually did. I turned my laptop toward him. "What am I looking at?" he asked. "My wallet," I said, "My real one." The color drained from his face as the numbers registered. That's not real," he whispered. "It is," I replied. "And that donation, that was me." His hands started to shake. He stammered apologies, said he didn't know, said stress made him act out, said he never would have done it if he'd understood. "That's the problem, Lucas," I said quietly. "You only cared once you realized I wasn't weak." He cried, begged, promised to fix everything. I told him no, not because I hated him, but because I finally saw him clearly. "When you thought I had nothing," I said, "you treated me like nothing." Before he left, I told him one last thing. I already helped Marina's parents. That was my final act of generosity toward your family. He didn't understand what I meant. He would. I left Lucas standing there, sobbing and begging, and I didn't answer. I didn't need to. I retired from Redwood University the next morning. 40 years of cleaning halls, emptying trash, scrubbing floors, finished. I walked through the campus one last time, past students who never saw me, past professors who nodded politely, but never truly knew me. I carried nothing with me except memories and a quiet satisfaction I hadn't felt in decades. I signed papers that afternoon. $1.6 billion donated to the university. Scholarships, maintenance staff support, programs for students from working-class families. No buildings, no plaques, nothing but opportunity for kids who might one day see the value of quiet work, of perseverance, of keeping promises. Then I mailed Lucas a package. Inside, a bus pass and a custodial job application. A note: "Since you always saw me as just a janitor, I thought you might want to try it yourself." I blocked his number and didn't look back. I bought a small cottage by the sea. I gardened. I read. I walked along the cliffs, watching the waves crash against the rocks. Sometimes I thought about the Corvette, about Elena, about Lucas when he was a boy standing on a crate to reach the hood. But the memories weren't tied to metal. They were tied to love, to promise, to what had truly mattered all along. Lucas eventually took a janitor's job. Marina moved back with her parents. I heard through a cuz and that he spent weeks trying to reach me, trying to repair what he broke. But nothing could undo the lessons he'd learned too late. I lived quietly. I didn't miss the wealth. I still had enough to live comfortably. But my true fortune was peace. The knowledge that I honored Elena. The knowledge that I taught, in my own way, what real dignity looked like. And most of all, the understanding that some bridges, once burned, reveal not loss, but freedom.